Thank y'all. Thank you. We'll get a visit here in a minute. Thank you. You get that from the Kaiser? What is that? That was impressive. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm from the federal government here to help you. I'm glad you're laughing. Are we doing the video first, or what's it? Huh?
It ran.
You did it? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Good. I'll tell the guy. Yeah, help me pay for it. Here's the order of battle. I'm going to make a few brief comments. We're going to take questions for about an hour. Then we're going to have a news conference with my military coalition members, who I'm incredibly proud of and thankful for. Does that sound like a plan? And I'll stay around and visit for a while if that's okay with you. Well, number one, thanks for coming. I know on a beautiful day like this you could have gone anywhere and done almost anything, and had 37 candidates you could have visited. If you're not running for president, raise your hand. Well, I announced Monday. Did anybody see the announcement in Central? Hey, thank you. My sister stole the show. It was an incredibly emotional moment for me to announce for president, which is hard to get your head around. It's in many ways audacious to think that you could be president until you start looking at Obama and other people and saying, hey, I can do better than that. But anyway, it was an announcement that was trying to define who I am and what I want to do and where I came from. All of us have a story. Everybody in this room has a story. And I have one that is probably relatable to many. My story began in a small town in South Carolina. I'm the first in my family to ever go to college. Anyone in that position? My parents were extremely proud. Neither one of my parents finished high school. My dad was a World War II veteran. He got out of the Army Air Corps. He married my mother. He was 17 years older than my mother. They started small businesses. We owned a restaurant, a liquor store, and a pool room, which is great training to be president of the United States. So I grew up in a small business family. We literally lived, my parents and my sister, who's 9 years younger, in the back of the restaurant in one room. It was a big room. We had a kitchen for ourselves and the business, and it was in many ways some of the best days of my life. Home is not the size of the building. It's not the quality of the furniture. Home is what happens inside the walls. I felt loved from the first day I can remember to the last day that I was with my parents. They gave me something that is priceless. A sense of purpose and a feeling that I was loved, and if I worked hard, I could do anything. So, a family business like that, I've learned a couple things. If you get sick, you don't get paid, so you have to open up every day. Anybody own a small business? You don't have the luxury of not going to work, because if you don't open the doors, you don't get paid. It was a good environment. It was a small town, textile town. The people who came to our restaurant and our bar really in many ways were like extended family. When I was 21, my mother was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. I was at the University of South Carolina, and before then life had never been better. We went on our first vacation to Disney World as a real vacation just a few months before she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. Life was as good as I'd ever known it. And within about 6 to 7 months, she was diagnosed and passed away in the middle of 1976. During the course of that illness, Like other people with cancer, she suffered and she fought. And we were an uninsured family. The medical bills overwhelmed us. And I paid on those bills until I got out of the Air Force. 15 months later, my dad passes away. I am 22. My sister is now 13. We move in with an aunt and uncle who never made over $25,000 in their lives. And they helped me raise my sister and allowed me to finish school. If it were not for Social Security survivor benefits, coming to my sister as a minor for my parents' contribution would have had a hard time paying the bills. College loans and grants were available to my sister so that she could go to college. I'm running as a Republican. I don't need a lecture from a Democrat about health care. I know what it's like to be underinsured. I don't need a lecture about how important Social Security is. When I was 22, it meant everything to my family. There's nothing I wouldn't do as President of the United States to save it from collapse. And it's going to collapse if somebody doesn't do something. That is where I come from. 33 years in the Air Force, retired last week. 6.5 years on active duty, 4.5 in Germany during the Cold War, from 84 to 88. I saw Ronald Reagan at his best. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan over 30 times as a senator and as a member of the Judge Advocate General's Corps in the Air Force, working on detainee operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've seen the 1% up close. I could not be more proud of those who have served. They deserve a commander-in-chief better than they have today. In today's headlines, you see that China is believed to have hacked into a system compromising 4 million federal employees' private information. The threats we face as a nation abound, from radical Islam to nation states like Russia and China. I'm often asked, what do you tell a war-weary public? Do you think America is too weary to do what you suggest needs to be done? My answer is, I do not believe that America is too weary, that Iowa is too weary to defend ourselves and to fight for our freedom. I have a simple message. You may be tired of fighting radical Islam. They are not tired of fighting you. The war over there is coming here soon if we don't take the fight to these guys on the ground. Ronald Reagan said that his policy would be peace through strength. How many of you remember Ronald Reagan? With great fondness, I hope. I don't believe it's possible, ladies and gentlemen, to have peace with radical Islam. I don't think peaceful coexistence is a goal to be obtained. These people are religious Nazis. They want to master religion for the world, and they're not in the business of compromising with you. We take our differences out on the church softball field. They have a fanatical view of religion. I am not responsible for ISIL. Rand Paul is not responsible for ISIL. Radical Islam was created based on a religious doctrine that they embrace that requires them to purify their religion, destroy the Christian faith, destroy the state of Israel, and come after all non-believers like us. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Well then, if you can't peacefully coexist with them, you have to eventually degrade and destroy them. President Obama's plan will not work. Do you believe we are winning against ISIL?
No.
We are losing ground that was fought hard to obtain, and to the soldier who fought in Iraq, you did your job. In 2011, Iraq was in a good place, security-wise, politically and economically, it was moving forward. The command infrastructure of this country warned President Obama, you need to leave some troops behind to secure our gains. What would a Germany and Japan look like if we had never stayed there? All I can say is that President Obama chose to withdraw because he made a political promise and he ignored sound military advice. Here's my promise to Iowa. If I become the commander-in-chief, we're going to stay as long as it's necessary to protect America. We're going to do what it takes over there to make sure they don't come here. To those who are serving, I know the last 14 years have been hell, but I know you're up to the task. My number one goal as Commander-in-Chief is to rebuild a military that is being destroyed in front of our eyes.
Hear, hear.
We're unhanded. The budget cuts are insane. General Dargis, who is going to lead my military coalition in Iowa, has seen what happens in the 90s when you dismantle your military infrastructure. It takes years to rebuild. So the centerpiece of my campaign will be security through strength. Securing this nation by being strong. Having a military that can overwhelm any enemy. Being a reliable partner. Understanding that you cannot destroy radical Islam just through the use of military force. That we have to build up others to be safe here. That a small schoolhouse in Afghanistan educating a young girl can do more damage to the Taliban than a 500-pound bomb. So if you're looking for somebody to tell you there's an easy way forward, I am not your man. But if you're looking for somebody that knows how to defeat this enemy, I am your best choice. I have learned a lot from my multiple engagements in the region. I am running to be a commander-in-chief worthy of the sacrifice of the 1% who have given it their all. I'm running to be a president not of a single party, but of a great nation. I am proud to be a Republican, but if I get to be president of the United States, I'm going to put the country ahead of the party. We're going to deal with the retirement. Deal with the retirement of the baby boomers, 80 million of us who are going to overwhelm Medicare and Social Security, and we're going to do something like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did to save these systems. We're going to deregulate America, we're going to flatten out the tax code, and we're going to make it easier to create a job, and we're going to replace Obamacare with more choices and less government dominance. When I get to be president of the United States, our enemies are going to be put on notice, and our friends are going to be reassured. To our friends in Israel, America is coming back. We're not going to abandon you any longer. To our friends throughout the world, there's a new way of business coming. To our enemies, you threaten this nation at your own peril. Thank you so much for coming. Take some questions, but my military coalition consists of Lieutenant General Ron Dargis, former Adjutant General of the Iowa National Guard, and his truly better half, Carmel. Would you please stand up? Brigadier General retired Dan McGowan, Iowa Army National Guard. He could not be here today. Aviation Command Sergeant Major Chris Fox. Chris is here. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for coming on board. Brigadier General retired Steve Vogel, Iowa Army National Guard, unable to attend today. Colonel Ron Randazzo. How's your last name, Ron?
Randazzo.
Randazzo. Can I call you Ron? Thank you very much for your service and having an easy first name. Lieutenant Colonel retired Mike Olson, Iowa Army National Guard. Mr. Bob Holliday, please stand up. Chairman of the board of the Iowa Gold Star Military Museum. If you haven't been, you should go. To these gentlemen and their spouses, around you I will build a campaign. Around you I will take my message of a strong, secure America, a vibrant economy, a problem-solving conservative to every corner of Iowa. I am honored to have you on board. I will not let you down.